Thank you guys so much for coming into our weekly mastermind. We are blessed to have Miss Holly here from Georgia MLS. She's going to be going over transaction desk tips, tricks, as well as how not to jump into the new stuff yet because they ain't ready for us. So, Miss Holly, like you can share your screen, jump in. I'm
Sure.
just going to kind of hush, and we are so grateful for you being with us today. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. No worries at all. Yes, for those of you who were not here when we just discussed this, my advice, stick with the legacy format of Transaction Desk. Um, we are in talks with Lone Wolf now. We're having monthly meetings with them about things that have come up as we're using it, as clients are using it, that we're seeing that are just not the same kind of functionality that you have within the original transaction desk. So if you start a transaction in Transact, you cannot take that into transaction desk. So wherever you start, you have to finish it. So please keep all of your stuff in the original right now, especially if you're used to using transaction desk, because there's just some things you're not going to be able to do with Transact that you can do within transaction desk. So for the moment and probably in the foreseeable future, just stick with the old one. Don't worry about this Transact yet. If you have clicked on Transact and have gone in there to try and play with it, and are getting stuck because once you get in there, like Nancy was said, once you get in there, it kind of automatically takes you back into it every time. So I'm going to click on, oh, let me share my screen really quick. Okay. Can everybody see that? Awesome. I'm going to get you guys out here so I can see your faces. There we go.
We can see you just fine. We're looking at the main Georgia MLS login screen.
Perfect. Perfect. Let me get this stupid bar out of my way. There we go. All right. So once you click on Transaction Desk here, some of you will notice it's going to pop up. I've gotten it to where I can get out of it, where it'll say, "Hey, use the new guy. Here we are." Don't click on that. Just stick with your current transaction desk format. If you have gotten into Transact, where you are in kind of this kind of format right here, even though you'll see this little toggle up here that says Transact and Transaction Desk, this is not actually taking you back to the original transaction desk. All it does is pull up your transaction desk transactions within Transact, but you can't do anything. So you can't start a new one. You can't do anything like that. So what you're going to want to do is come up to the guy in the top left-hand corner where you see these dots, and then you want to go down to transaction desk where it says legacy products. That will get you back into the original transaction desk. So they make it a little bit confusing. I think that's by design. So you stick with the new one, and that's another thing that we've been talking to them about if you're going to have that toggle needs to take you into transaction desk. Um, so again, we talk to them at least once a month. If you are playing with Transact just because you want to, and you see anything in there, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Um, I'm going to put my email here in the chat, um, where you can reach out to me directly and give me any kind of feedback that you have, because I like to have this, I can give them my feedback all day long. Um, and I have, because that's how annoying I am. But it's better when it's coming from you. So if there's anything that you have seen when you're playing with it, if you want to get there and practice with it and notice these little things, please let me know, and I will send forward that over to these guys as well. Because there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of. But right now, we're just going to stick with the original legacy transaction desk. Are you guys do you use it regularly? Are you familiar with Transaction Desk? Is this your main system?
I'd say we have a lot of folks where it really depends if you are like on the south side. All these agents, a lot of the south side agents are definitely gonna be transaction desk for a lot of folks. This is a secondary platform. A lot of folks will still use start off with FMLS and be able to use it either way. But now
Perfect.
we do have some folks that are using transaction desk in FMLS too, so I'm not sure what kind of how that carries over, but I'm not trying to make you teach for FMLS is what I'm saying,
Oh, no, no,
but
no,
you
no, no,
can
no.
access it in there.
No, 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 absolutely. With transaction desk, we simply call it our contract or contact to closing. So it keeps everything together in just an organizational format. And that is what it is. It's an organizational tool for you guys to have everything in one system. That way, all of your contacts for one transaction's in the same place. All of your signings is one transaction is in the same place. All of your contracts in one transaction's in the same place. So you don't have, it's basically the manila folder that you used to keep in a computerized system. So what I would start out by saying, since this is an hour overview, we're not going to be able to go through all of the things. I'm going to cover the templates, creating a transaction, and then sending that off to Authentisign. So that's really what we're going to go over today. I'm not going to go over all of the little nuances, but the templates to me is your starting point. That is going to be one of your most important ways to get started within Transaction Desk because it saves you a lot of time later on. You can have as many templates as you want because every transaction, every different kind of transaction is going to require different contacts, different forms, different documents. You're going to have, between a residential property transaction versus a residential lease or a commercial, or a land. All of these are going to require different forms. So if you create these documents and these, or I'm sorry, create these templates and already have all of those documents and forms included within those templates, it just saves you all that time. So you don't have to go in and find each of these forms that you use every time that you're doing the same transaction. You already have that in there. There's a couple of ways you can do this. On your agent dashboard here, mine might look a lot different. You can customize your agent dashboard. By doing so, you just go to this padlock in the top right-hand corner, and that's going to open up all the things that you can add or remove onto your transaction dashboard, onto your agent dashboard. All of the things that are in blue are going to be action icons, things that you can do, creating templates, doing signings, creating transactions, all of those things. Everything in green that you see is going to be informational. So signings that you've already done, transactions that you've already created, all of those things. So you can add those to your dashboard as you go forth. So once you add this, you can just click and drag it down. So when you click and drag it down, it'll add that to your dashboard. And then from here, you can make it smaller. You can obviously move it to any section that you want to by clicking and dragging it. You can remove it by clicking the X. However you want your page to look, whatever is more important to you to have, you can do however you want it. So my dashboard is going to look a lot different than yours. Yours is going to look a lot different than somebody else's. Once you're done setting it up, just click on this padlock again and it'll lock it in place. So I've added transactions, or I'm sorry, I've added templates into my dashboard, but you also have your templates down here on your sidebar. If you don't know what any of these icons mean, there's a little hamburger guy at the top. You can click on that, or you can just hover over them and it'll show you either way. So you have those couple of places where you can create templates. If I click on templates here, oops, I'm just clicking like crazy. Go to transaction templates and then click your add plus button. Again, you can have as many templates as you want to. You can have it on a buy side, you can have it on a sell side, however you want to use this. So you won't have this ownership tab unless you're a broker. So this is brokers can create their own templates for their offices as well. So your broker might have templates already created for you. So you don't even have to worry about that. So it depends on where you are, but yours is just going to be personal. And you can name your template whatever you want to. So land templates, residential lease templates, residential sell side, residential buy side, whatever it is that you want to. So we'll just do a little test template here for, um, let's say residential. I'm just going to do Resi, Tucker, seller, whatever it is you want to do. And I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying I am not a real estate agent. So please ignore the forms that I'm going to be putting in here. These are probably not going to be the official forms that you would be using. These are just examples of how to use the system, not the actual forms that you would be using. And then you can just do your type. Again, I'm just going to do this as a resi sell. So I'm going to go down here to residential sale. You can do whatever kind you want. And then if you want to give it a description, you can. That is not required. So if you wanted to, kind of describe what kind of forms are in it or what kind of documents you have in this one, because you might have a couple of different residential cells. You might have a couple of different, options for you to have. So now you know that this one has these forms and this one has this document, whatever it might be. And then I can hit save. And now I'm into creating my templates. And again, this is just taking a couple of minutes on the front end to save yourself all the time on the back end. You can create checklists for yourself. That again is going to be over here in your settings, where you can set up tasks. Hey, don't forget to get this signed. Don't forget to, once you have this signed, don't forget to put, once you've got the agreement, put the sign in the yard, send out flyers. Once you've sold the property, make sure you get that closing gift out to the client. Those little things. You can set yourself up for checklist. A lot of brokers like to do this for new agents, just to kind of keep them on task. But it's up to you. You can add checklist over here onto your settings. If we go over to your, settings up here, and then you'll see your checklist manager. And you can add checklists here. You can design those over on your checklist manager. Again, we don't really have time to go over all of those nuances, but those checklists are available for you to do that on that side. I'm going to come back to my templates. And I've got my seller. And then you can add contacts. There's certain contacts that you might use all the time. Your broker. You might have an admin that you use as a reviewer for all of your transactions that you want to send it to them first. All of those contacts that you might use on a regular basis, go ahead and add them here. So I can go to my add plus sign. I can either create a new contact. I can create an empty contact, and all an empty contact is basically a placeholder. It's someone that you don't know yet. So you're creating this transaction, you're setting up this template for a future transaction. So you don't know who the buyers are going to be. You don't know who that lawyer is going to be. You don't know who that inspector is going to be. Anybody who might be part of this transaction that you know you're going to be using, you know you're going to have a buyer, you know you're going to have a seller, you know you're going to have these things. You can create an empty contact if you don't know who they are yet. That's basically, again, just a placeholder. It kind of reminds you as you're creating these transactions to add these people. So let's say I want to create a buyer. Once I click on my add plus sign, it's going to give me all of my options. So I'll put in a buyer here just as an empty contact. And that way, when I go into my transactions, I can see, oh, don't forget to put the buyer in there, things like that. So that's all that empty contact means. And then I can add an existing contact. So again, say I want to add my broker in here. I can add her. She's already in my contact list. It's going to bring up their information. If you want to change anything or add anything, you can do that. And I'm going to change this email because it's wrong. There we go. Hit save. And say again, I want to add my reviewer. I have an admin in my office and I always send all my transactions over to my reviewer. So I'm going to add them as well. They're in my existing contacts. And then say I'm going to add my seller. So I can go ahead and add a new contact. So this is my new contact. This is going to be my seller. I'm going to do Judy Seller with my email address. And this is all you need. You need Let me get the right one. There we go. You need the first name, last name, and an email address if you plan to send this off in a signing packet. So just go ahead and put an email address in there. It's not required. I think it should be, but it's not. So just make sure you're putting in that email address just in case, because anything that wants to go out into a signing packet, you'll need to have that or you'll get an error back. Anything else is just gravy. Whatever else you want to add, anything else that you want to put in about your client, you can. And then you can just save this. And so now under my contacts, I've got my buyer who I don't know yet. I've got my seller, I've got my broker, and I've got my reviewer. So this is just in my transaction, or this isn't just in my template. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have put in the seller. I should have just put in the seller as an empty contact. Because in my transaction or in my template, I would not know that seller yet. So I'm going to change that. So I can remove that. And then I'll put her in whenever we actually create the template or the transaction. Sorry, guys, it's Monday. So I'm going to create an empty template or empty contact for my seller as well. And now I can add in documents. Documents and forms, the only difference between documents and forms is forms are going to be those legal forms. Those are going to be those GAR forms. Those are going to be the things that are lawyer approved, whereas documents are going to be things that are coming from your office or from you, personal documents. Maybe you like to have a social media format that allows them to sign it to say, hey, you can promote all of this listing information on your social media, that kind of thing, or referral notices, things like that that are not lawyer approved, that are going to be coming more in a PDF format that won't have those already structured email signatures that you're going to see within those templates or within those forms. So I'm going to go ahead and just add my document, and you can download it from your computer. You can upload it from a DocBox. You can do it from a third party or an email. So I'm just going to upload this from my computer. Oops, I'm in the wrong system here. Let's go here to my documents. Yeah. And I'm just putting in a random document here. So these are my documents. This is something, again, that I'm not going to have signature blocks for on my AuthentiSigns whenever I go in. I'm going to have to actually add those to these documents. Those are going to be those kind of things. Add one more here. I think I have one for an AuthentiSign. And again, you have multiple places where you can add from. Just depends on what you want to use here. Sure, we'll do that. All right. And again, these are just random things that I'm picking out of my computer. These are not actual forms I'm going to be using. And so now I've got those because these are documents that I'm going to be using on every one of my selling transactions. I can do the same for my forms. Again, these are going to be those lawyer approved forms. So when you come in here, this is going to take you into those GAR forms, into those lawyer approved forms. So say I want a seller's disclosure. If you know the code, you can just put that in here. F308, is it? Or 208? Nope. So I'll do a seller's disclosure. You can type in the name or you can type in the code, however, 301. That's what it was. You can type in the name or you can type in keywords, however you want to. Keep in mind, though, if you're typing in keywords, that you're paying attention to the codes here because it is going to pull up any of our RE forms. It's going to pull up any Alabama form, anything else that we have that's not just our GAR form. So make sure you're picking out the right codes here. So I'm just going to pull up that seller's disclosure. Add that. Say it might be an older home. So say I might need that lead-based paint exhibit. So I can put that here. And now it's adding all of those to these templates. Now, if some of these forms have the same things that you use over and over again, as far as clauses, as far as any kind of information that you have to type every time onto your forms, type them into your template. That way you don't have to continually type it into your forms over and over again. If you're using any of these forms and you need to edit them in any way, you need to edit them either here in your template if it's going to be something that is the same every transaction, or you need to edit them within your transaction. Once you get into Authentisign, you can't edit it other than doing like markups and things like that, but you can't do that official edit within your Authentisign. So make sure you're doing all of those official things within either your template or your transaction. And again, like I said, if there's forms that you use and you're typing the same things in over and over and over again with every form, go ahead and do it in your template. That way, you know it's saved there. So when you're adding it into your transaction, all of those things are already there. So again, take that couple of minutes, go ahead and take care of it here. That way you don't have to do it there. Another thing that you need to know is that regardless of what you add into your templates, you can always add or remove more within a transaction. So these are just going to be those basic things that you need always. On the flip side, you can also remove anything from a transaction that's in your template, and it will not remove it from the template itself. So if you get into your transaction and you notice that you've got these 5 documents or these 5 forms and you only need 3 of them, that's cool. You can remove those in that specific transaction. It's still going to keep them in the template. So keep that in mind too. And then if you're dealing with teams or sharing, you can add that here as well. Again, this is getting a little bit deeper into transaction desk, so we're not going to go into that today, but this is your basic template. That's all it is adding contacts, adding forms, and adding documents. Once you get all of that taken care of, now you've got your template set up. So when you do go in to create your transaction, you can make it a much smoother process. And you don't have to save anything. As soon as you go into your template and you name it and you start adding things, it's just adding it as you go. So don't worry about if you had to get out like I just did when I went out to my checklist and I came back. I had already named it. I'm able to come right back in without an issue. Any questions about that before we move on? Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to jump back into my dashboard. And again, I created this template months ago. And I'm coming in, I've got a transaction and I need to start that transaction. There's a couple of different ways, again, that you can start your transaction. You can do it from your dashboard if you've actually added your transactions onto your dashboard here. Or you've got this little house over here. This is going to be the list of your already existing transactions that you can jump into. And within those transactions, you'll see an add plus sign. That will jump you into the transaction to create a new one. You can also create a transaction from a listing itself within Connect MLS. So if I'm in Connect MLS and I have a listing pulled up, and I'm just going to choose just a random listing here from an old search. So I've got this listing pulled up. You'll see this add additional info right here. This is where you can access all of your products and services, your documents. You can do a bunch of action icons from this additional info tab. Now you're going to see the word additional info here in your full listing report, but it's going to be the blue eye everywhere else. So this is the only place you're going to see the words additional info. Everywhere else, you'll see this blue eye. So if you click on that, this is going to take you into all of those things you can do. You can jump in directly into Transaction Desk. So when you jump directly into Transaction Desk from a listing itself, it'll pull you into that transaction. So it's already started your transaction for you. You'll see the name of the address. You'll see your transaction dashboard, and then you can be able to create your transaction from there. So I'm going to start from scratch though, but I just wanted to show you that you can go directly from your listing and then you can go into a transaction. So I'm going to come in here to create a transaction from my transaction list. So again, you're going to go to your house. This is your list of transactions. I'm going to go to my add plus sign and it's going to pull this little guy up. Remember, don't go here. You don't want to create a new transaction within Transact. Create a classic transaction. And then you're just going to name your transaction, name it whatever you want to. I typically like to name it by a street address or whatever it is that you're going to remember it by um, easiest. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've got a little cheat sheet here. I'm just going to go ahead and name it. I typically like to name it by my street address just because for me it's easier for me to whenever I'm just picking at my listings or my transactions, I can easily see that. But this might not be might be a property that you're selling. This might be a buyer's property, something like that. So depending on how you want to do it, you might want to name it by your buyer, by your seller, whoever it is, up to you. The second option is going to be template. This is where we get to decide which template we're going to use for this transaction. Remember, you've created all these templates to save you time. So we just did this Resi Tucker seller. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. I know that's got all my forms and documents that I need, all of my contacts that I need. And then I'm going to select my source. You can pull from the tax records now. So you can pull from that CRS data and it'll ask you to do the county and the tax ID. I'm going to select from my Georgia MLS and put in my listing ID. So you have a couple of different import options that you can use as well. You'll want to select the type of property, and I'm going to do residential, and then you'll just enter in that listing number. Once I enter in that listing number, that is going to automatically be able to transport all my information from that listing into my forms and or into my forms, not my documents, but into my forms, into my transaction. It does not carry everything. Certain things like your legal description, some of the plots, some of the deeds, some of that information is not carried over, but the majority of it will be. And then you're just going to add yourself. Are you the selling agent? Are you the listing agent? Are you neither? Are you both? So make sure you add yourself into that. I'm just keep myself as the selling agent and using the wizard. Keep the wizard on. It helps you walk step by step. There's no reason to take it off. So keep the wizard on and then hit create at the top. And now you're starting a new transaction. So you'll see you've got your information up here. You can change your status of the transactions as you're going through. I'm going to obviously leave it open since this is a brand new transaction, but you can close your transactions. You can have them expire. You can withdraw pending, all of that. So you can change the statuses by this little drop-down box as well. So if you're one of those who wants to keep all of your transactions, you don't ever want to get rid of them, which is perfectly fine. Once you delete a transaction in Transaction Desk, that's it. You can't get it back. So keep that in mind. If you think you might want to hold on to it, you can. You can have as many as you want to. So if you don't want to lose it, make sure that you're keeping that in your Transaction Desk. And then we're just going to start with the wizard. It's going to start us with step 1, which is going to be our details. And you've got 1 out of 5 steps. And this is going to be your basic information. As you can see, it's already auto-populated some of that information from the listing itself. It's not going to pull in, like I said, that deed book, that legal description. That's not coming over. It's something we've talked about with Lone Wolf for years, and I don't know why they won't pull that over, but it doesn't. It does pull over comments. It's going to pull in your listing information. Now, not all of this you're going to have immediately. As the transaction keeps moving forward, you can come back and you can add all of this information in as it continues to move. But you might not have it at the beginning. You might not know this information right off top, but this is going to be all of the information that's available to you within that transaction. Once you've got your details filled out, hit next. At the bottom, you'll see save and exit. If you hit save and exit, which is fine if you're ready to get out of it, but it takes you out of the wizard. So save and exit is going to take you out of that wizard. If you ever accidentally do that and you want to get back in the wizard, you'll see the option to do that up at the top. So you can always get back into it. So I'm just going to hit next because I'm still continuing to work on this transaction. And next, it's going to take me into my transaction dates. Again, you're not going to know all of these at the beginning once you're at the beginning of creating this transaction. These are going to be things that are going to happen as you go along within these transactions. So you can come in and add all of your information, your offer date, your acceptance date, your closing date, funding date. All of that's going to be available for you to add as the transaction continues to grow. Again, I'm going to hit next, and it's taking me into my contacts. Remember those empty contacts that I had? My buyer, my seller. It's also taking all of the information from the listing. So it's going to take over the listing agent, that listing broker. All of that information is coming over directly from the listing itself. Remember how I said you can remove something from a template and it doesn't remove it, or remove it from the transaction, it doesn't remove from a template? I'm going to show you how to do that now because I don't want to accidentally send this to someone on a live listing because this is an actual listing with an actual broker. So I'm going to go ahead and delete them. But I love the way that it takes over that information for you. So you don't have to add the other side. That side is going to be added for you. And I'm going to take out this agent. And now I have myself. I have my brokerage, which is Georgia MLS. I have my broker. I have my reviewer. And now I have a place where I can edit for my seller and for my buyer. So I can go ahead and edit those by clicking on that here. Say I have Henry Buyer. Again, that's all the information we need. Anything else is gravy. You can put whatever else that you want to. Now, if you click on Add to Address Book, that puts it in your global contact list into Transaction Desk. So if this is a contact that you think you're going to use again, that you're going to want to access again through Transaction Desk, put them in your global contact list. If not, if this is a one and done kind of contact, don't add them. That way it's not cluttering up your contact list. This is just going to be within that transaction. You'll still have them. As long as you have this transaction within Transactions Desk, you'll still have access to this contact, but they're not in your actual contact list cluttering everything up. So my suggestion is if you don't think you're going to use them again, don't add them to the address book. Just leave that alone. Then I'm going to save. And so now I've got Henry in as my buyer. And I'm going to add my seller. And the same thing, you've got that address book. So again, if this is a seller you're going to use on a regular basis, if you've gotten a rapport with them, add them to that address book. That way you can pull them up. If not, just leave them in this transaction. And then if there's any other contacts you wish to add, you can always do that from here. And again, you got your options. You can create a new transaction contact, meaning that's only going to be in the transaction. So you're not going to add any new contact. Add an existing contact, add yourself, or add a contact from Google. And then once I've got all my contacts set up, I'm going to move on and it's going to take me to my forms. Again, these are those Laurier approved forms. So I've already got my forms set up here. These are going to be the ones that are going to auto-populate with your information. It's already going to have your signature blocks once we move into Authentisign. It's going to have all of that information ready for you. Now, again, if there's anything you need to edit on this form, do it now. Because once you go into Authentisign, the only thing that you're going to be able to do is markups and things like that. You're not really going to be able to do the official change in Authentisign. But I did want to show you here that you'll notice all of this has already been auto-populated. Another cool thing about Transaction Desk, if you're not aware, is you're able to create clauses. So you can have personal clauses, you can have office clauses, you can have anything as system clauses. So those basics clauses that you might use all the time, those are already added in there for you. Or you can create your own clauses, your personal clauses. And then to add them onto a form is super easy. All you have to do is click, go to add clause, and then you can choose. Is this a personal clause where I have a couple signed up? Here's some appliances. I've got, just random little silly clauses that I've created. You've got your office clauses. These are going to be things that your broker or your admin are going to be able to set up for you. And you've got your system clauses. Again, these are going to be those pretty accessible system clauses that people use on a regular basis, termite inspections, those kind of things. So, and then all you have to do is select it, hit OK, and then it's going to automatically populate those clauses into your forms. So you don't have to do it for each time. So it makes it really quick, easy way for you to get those clauses in there. And you add those clauses over here on the sidebar. You would click on that little clauses tab and add any clauses that you want to. But once they're added, all you have to do is click on any space that you want and go to add clause. Leave your appliances, whatever it might be. So again, any of those markups that you're going to be doing, do them here before you send them over to Authentisign. If there are any other forms that you want to add as the transaction has gone forward and you need to add more transaction or more forms, you can add them here too. Again, add plus sign, and you can add as many as you want. This is just the ones that we've put in our template. And then once I'm good with my forms, I'm going to hit next again, and it's going to take me into my documents. Once again, anything that you need to add or change or do whatever to these documents, you can go ahead and do that here. If you need to add any more documents, if you need to remove any of them, you can do that here as well. And then once I've created all of this, this is my transaction. I'm done. I can just hit done here. And now my transaction is created. Do you have any questions about that? Fantastic. Just like you can arrange and customize your agent dashboard, you can do the same thing with your transaction dashboard. So you can see as soon as you create that transaction, it doesn't take you back to the home page. It takes you back to your transaction dashboard, which kind of looks a little bit like your home page, that agent dashboard, but it's not. This is specifically about this transaction. And you'll see on the right, you got that same padlock. If you click on the padlock here and open it up, you have your options of what you can add and what you can remove. I would always suggest to add the create signing. That way you have an easy access from the transaction to go directly into Authentisign. You can go to it in several different ways, but if you're ready to go from your transaction into Authentisign, you can create it directly from here. So I would always add that. It just makes it a little bit easier. But again, add, remove however you want to, just like we did in our agent dashboard. And when you're done, just lock it up. Now you can start signing from here. You can start assigning from here. You can start assigning from your home, from your dashboard if you have it on there. So it just depends on where you are within the transaction, where you are within the system, on where you want to go to start the signing. It doesn't really matter. So if I want to start assigning from here, I can go to add plus sign, signing name. Say I want to sign it as, name it my seller or my buyer or whoever it is you want to name it. You can name it again however it is that you want to do. So I'm just going to do Henry Seller. And then you're going to see right below that where it has the red link to add to transaction. So say you created your transaction, but you weren't ready to have anything signed off yet. You're coming back into it later. Now you can go to add to transaction, and it's going to pull up all of your transactions that you have. I can select that I want to add, hit save. And now you can see it's adding it to that specific transaction. Hit save again. And this is going to pop me directly into my Authentisign. So it's going to take you into the place where you can add forms. So you can see here where I can add a document or a form. If I click on it, it's going to give me all the ones that are already in my transaction. So I can select any of these that I want to add to a signing. Now, this is still going to be within the transaction, but not all of your forms or documents might need to be signed. You might not need to have that lead-based paint sign, or you might not need to have one of your documents signed. So these are the only things that you're going to want to add to have signed. So I'm going to go ahead and add my seller's disclosure. I'm going to do my transfer form. And you can also add and import any listings or any forms or documents that you want to up here. So if you've got your transactional forms, these are the ones that you've already created. You can upload any ones that you might need, or you can go directly into your GAR forms. So the upload import is going to be your documents. My files are going to be your forms. And you can go into single forms and then go into individual forms. And again, that's going to pull up your GAR forms. So if there's something that you need to add on the back end that you didn't add into that transaction, you have time to do it here too. You just can't edit it. So if it is going to need to be edited, if there's going to be something that you're going to have to put into that form, you'll need to go back and add it to your transaction first.
A great use for that, the upload import, is when somebody has uploaded like a seller's property disclosure already, and like you're on the buying side and you need to do that, or the lead-based paint, or whatever documents that are on the listing itself. If you're representing the buyer, you might download it to your, whatever, your computer, and throw it in here because it wasn't necessarily part of your purchase and sale and whatever.
Absolutely. So once I've selected the forms that I want to add, you're going to see them over here on the left side. And you've got them over here on the right. So if you need to rearrange the order you want to put them in, you can do that. You can either click and drag them, or you can just change the number inside the form. So if you want your transfer form to go first, you can do that. Either way. And now what you want to do is you want to assign your signers. So I'm going to come over here to the top. Now you'll see this toggle at the very top of your page. This is going to set your signing order. So if you don't care and it just can go out to everybody, all of your participants at once, you don't need to worry about this toggle. But if you want someone to sign first, then someone to sign next, then next, the next, and you want to set an order, click on the toggle here and then add your participants. So I'm going to add my participants from my transaction. Again, if there's someone that you need to add that was not within your transaction, you can add those here too. So you can always add people. It doesn't have to be directly from the transaction or your template. You're going to continually have places to add those forms, documents, contacts, all of it. But I'm going to add for my transaction because I got everybody that I need. And I'm just going to want to add the people who are going to be part of this signing packet. So I want my buyer, I want my broker, I want my reviewer, I want my seller, and I want me. So I will select everybody within my transaction. But now you need to decide who they are and how they're going to be part of the signing packet. So I've got Henry. He is going to be a remote signer. I'm going to actually need him to sign. My broker, all I want my broker is I want to CC her on everything. So once everything is done, once the transaction is completed, I want her to have a copy of it. So I can come over here and change her from remote signer to CC. With Laura, she's my reviewer, she's my admin. So I want her to be able to look at everything first. She's not actually going to be signing anything. I'm just going to make her a reviewer. And then my seller and myself, I'm going to have as a signer as well. And then once you hit select, it's going to make you assign them by mapping them. So I've got my buyer as Henry. I've got my seller as Judy. And remember, it's doing this because that's how you labeled them. So it's already putting that in there for you. If you had a second buyer, if you had a second seller, you would be able to add those two. I'm going to assign my signature blocks. And again, same with this, you can change the order of who gets what first. So I'm going to put my reviewer first because I want Laura to review it before it goes out to any of my signers. I want her to make sure everything looks good. And then I'll have my buyer sign, my sellers. I want my seller first, then my buyer, then me. And then you'll notice that Jamie, my broker, is at the bottom. She's got nothing. She's got no color blocking or anything. That's because I'm just sending it to her. She's just being CC'd at the end. So she has nothing to do with this transaction other than getting a copy of it. And then once I have all of these set up, there might be some things I need to do with these signing packets. Like there might be some things I need to do with my documents, like add signature packet or add signature lines, add initial codes with some of my clauses maybe. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come over here to my tools section. And you'll notice now that every one of my contacts have a color block. So anyone who's a signer has a different color associated with them. That's just going to be all of those signing blocks are going to be color coded that way. So you know who's who, basically. So I'm going to start with Henry. And I have these clauses over here. So I might want him to initial. So I'm just going to click and drag that initial box over here. I might want to add a date to it. I might want to add a time to it. Might want to put his full name underneath his initials. Whatever it is that you want to do, you have these tools that you can do. And then you can change it up at the top and go down to Judy now. Now I need Judy to initial. I'll put her date here. And then next. So it allows you to mark it up however you need to mark it up if it wasn't already designed that way. But you'll notice now under my signature blocks, those are already there for me. And they're already designed by who is supposed to be the seller, the buyer, the agent, whatever I have them labeled as, it's going to assign them as already within these forms. But remember, that's just my forms. My documents are going to be different. So if I need a signature within my document, I might need to put this over here. I'm going to have to add those signature blocks myself. They're not already going to be there for me. So play with these tools because there's some pretty cool things that you can do with them. You can highlight if you need to. You can mark through. And these are the things I was talking about these are the little things that you can do where you can edit those forms, but the official editing needs to be done within your transaction or in your template. But you can cross through some things if there's some things you don't want to, have them look at. They don't need to do this. They don't need to do that. You can do those kind of editings, but those main specific editings that you're going to be doing within those forms has to be done within that template or into that transaction.
We use the highlight a lot, like on home inspection, like we'll print to PDF the relevant inspection pages that we're going to
Sure.
ask. And if we're doing like an amendment to address concerns, we'll just stick those relevant pages. But on an inspection page, you might have like 4 different items, but the one that we are referencing in our amendment to address concerns is only one. So we use that highlight tool to like highlight the one we're talking about.
Sure. And strike out the ones that you're not. Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
Yep. Absolutely. So it's just those tools that you can use to make those quick changes that you need to make. But anything that's like official, you need to do that within your transactions or your templates. So we've got all of our signing packets ready. We've got our forms ready. We've got our initial set up. We've got our signing block set up. Everything's ready to go into our signing emails. And the next thing you're going to do is at the top, hit next. Now you can set up expiration dates and reminders. So if you want to send out, say, send a reminder every 3 days at not at 3 a.m. every 2 days at, let's see, 9 a.m. You can do that. You can set an expiration date for this. You can customize your invites. So say if I just want to send something to Laura, hey, Laura, make sure everything's good. I can do that. You can send something over to each seller, to the buyer, to everything. So you can make very specific messages to each contact that you have. It's not going the same message is not going to each one. If you keep scrolling, you'll see that they're different. Everyone's different. So you can send different messages to each contact. And then once you have those created, you just hit save and send. And now you've successfully sent out your packet. Now remember, I did this in a signing order, which means the first person who's going to get it is going to be my reviewer. I come over here. Oops. I'm going to change to my Gmail. And then you'll see that I've got please review the documents for Henry Seller. So this has gone to Laura, my reviewer, first. So I'm going to click on that. And this is what Laura's going to see. She's first going to see all of my branding. She's going to say, hey, you've got a document to review. And then she's going to review the signing. So she's just getting that signing packet. She's not signing anything. They will have to do a participant acknowledgement. So they'll accept that. And then Laura can go through, she can check everything, make sure it all looks good. She can accept it or reject it. If she rejects it, she's going to have to give me a reason. So once she rejects it, that stops the signing packet. It'll go back to me as the agent. It'll tell me what's wrong with the signing so I can correct it, and it will not go forward until she accepts it. Once she accepts it, everything looks good. You're going to get this little party. Yay, you're done. You're not done. And a lot of times this is where you'll get some issues that you'll run into with agent or with clients that you're dealing with that say, hey, I got the signing. I did the signing. I signed everything and you don't have it. It's because they didn't complete it. Because they'll see the little party guy and they think that they're done. It happens very often. So if you ever get that, that's typically going to be why it is. So make sure that they're complete signing. That might be something that you want to do whenever you can do your invites and you have your specific messages that you can send out. You might want to mention that to them in there. It's totally up to you, but that might be something that you want to use that for. But once they complete the signing, now it's going to go to my second person. They can either print this or download this signing packet as well. So they will have opportunity to keep it too. And now it goes to Henry because he was my next person within that signing packet. So now Henry gets it. And now he's got a signing invitation. He doesn't have a reviewing packet. He's got a signing. So now he can start his signing.
Can you go back to the transaction desk? Let's say Henry lost the email or he can't find it and you have to resend it to just him. Can you go back into transaction desk?
I'm going to once I get through the signing.
Okay.
Yep. So whenever he gets to start signing, again, he's going to have to accept the acknowledgement. Once he does that, and then he can start the signing. He can go through it, make sure everything's good. But once he hits start, It's going to bounce him to the first thing he needs to click on. So this is going to be his initial, and then he can set up his signature. However he wants to set up the signature, they can set it up there. Once they set the signature, they can either do it by their own style. They can draw it, which I can't do. I don't know anyone who can do this beautifully, or they can upload one if they already have one. So it just depends on how you want to do it. You can change your font, whatever you want. And then you can set that signature and remember it for all future signatures. So that way, anytime he's going through all of this throughout this entire process, he doesn't have to do this every time. And then again, you get that complete signing. And then they can print or download. So once you've got all of that taken care of and you've got your signing packet started and all of that, as an agent, you can go back into your transaction desk. And you're going to check on you want to check on your transactions, see how this one's moving forward. I can click on my transactions by that house. I can go into my signings by coming over either into my transaction directly, or I can come over to my menu and go down to my signings packets here. And this will tell me I've got my signing packet and I've got two out of four of my signatures completed. And it'll tell me who. By hovering over it, I can see that Laura signed it and Judy has signed it. Now we're waiting on Henry and Holly. So you can see that. Say that they didn't get it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Say that they did not receive that signing packet. You can click on the signing packet itself and you can resend it. So you can always resend it to the unsigned participants. A really nice way to be able to view this is down below. So you can say, hey, I saw it. I signed it. I signed it. I got this. If they have the badge here, that means that they've opened the signing packet, but they haven't, that they just might not have completed it. If they don't have the check mark, they have not completed the signing. So if you see the badge, yes, they've opened the signing packet, they've seen the signing packet, you can look and tell that they know that that's there. But if they don't have that check mark, they have not completed it. So that's how you can know and be like, okay, I get it. Yes, you did see it, but you didn't complete it. So go back and do the start signing and make sure you hit complete signing when done. So you have that visual of knowing that, oh yeah, they definitely looked at it. They just didn't complete it. Do I have any questions about anything? That's pretty much the overview of
Well,
templates to transactions to signings.
when you're in this too, like I've had it before where somebody originally gave me like a work email, but then their work email had some kind of firewall
Right.
and it wouldn't accept. Yeah. So
you can edit the emails from the signing packet here too.
and that's awesome because then you don't have to redo the whole thing. You can just go
Oh,
and
yeah.
change their
Oh, yeah.
email to like their home email now versus having to redo the whole thing
Right.
and then just resend it.
And again, that's just pretty much a quick overview of Transaction Desk. Again, please stay away from Transact until we get things worked out with that. We'll have Transaction Desk for quite a while, and we'll know pretty far in advance before we might not have Transaction Desk. So don't play with it
switch
yet.
to Transact yet. That's it. That's it.
So if we have templates set up in the old system or the classic one, will the templates go over to the new or no? Do we have to recreate those when that's up and running?
They are working on making that happen because right now, no. But that was one of my big things, contacts templates to go over. Your transactions, no. But your contacts and templates, they are working on it. Clauses will be towards the end because I wanted clauses, templates, transactions, or templates and contacts to definitely go over. Clauses, they're still working on.
Awesome, Holly. I really appreciate you today. Does anybody have any other questions for Miss Holly for us today? Because this is always one of those that I see a lot of folks like they could always use a refresher. They could always get better
Sure.
at this. This is one of those things that so many of us use, and
Well, and
a
it's
lot
one of
of
those.
a lot of us old school folks just kind of figured it out as we went along. And so like taking the time to go through and be shown things like templates, that kind of stuff was a deal changer the first time I saw it. So
Right, right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And clauses. Oh my God, adding
yeah,
clauses and how easy it is once you get those simple clauses in. Love it. One of those things that we're working on with Transact because it's not so easy there.
yeah.
So yeah, all of these things, like I said, just stick with the original for now. But it's one of my, it's, I like teaching the class because I don't use it practically because I'm not an agent. So
Mhm.
when I am teaching it, like Shannon and people, it becomes a conversation where agents help each other because like, oh, guess how I do it. I figured out I can do this and run this, and it's really nice when I'm teaching that because I do get a lot of agents helping each other too. So it's a nice class for that too.
We used to use another system with another MLS, and we noticed, particularly in like peak seasons, like summer, whatever, we wouldn't be able to get our signing sessions to go through, or it would be down or whatever. So we flipped over to Transaction Desk, and I don't want to jinx it, but it's not down. Like, and we are so happy about that.
Yes, please don't jinx it.
Yeah.
I get those calls. All
Awesome.
right.
Does anybody have anything else for Miss Holly? All right. Well,
And
next
if
week.
you
Oh,
if you didn't get my email, I'm sorry.
Holly, I would like to have your contact information. I have a couple questions.
Yes, I put it in the chat. I was just about to say, anyone who didn't get my email, it's simply Holly, HOLLI, at GAMLS.com. So Holly at GeorgiaMLS.com. And yes, please reach out to me with any questions or concerns you might have, especially if you do start playing with Transact and you have any issues with it. I would love to hear your feedback so I can get it over to them.
And Holly, I'd like to say something. If you're working on Transaction Desk and you have an issue, they're open 24
Yes,
hours a
ma'am.
day, and
Yes,
they
ma'am.
are very, very helpful.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll give you it's 800 668 8768. 800 668 8768. I put that in the chat too. But yes, they have 24/7 service. They also have really good webinars and things on their service. So if you come up and it's everywhere, if you got this little question mark here at the top of every page, they have amazing videos if you go to their help videos, and it breaks it down by category. So it's like, hey, I just need to figure out this quick little glip. I really want to figure out how to add a contactor or how to do a trans or a template or something like that. They have these really quick videos broken down to you in form. So they also have live chats. So if you don't want to call them, you can always chat with them. I chat with them all the time. So yes, they are always available for you. But that little question mark in the top of your transaction desk, on every page you have it. So it doesn't matter where you are, you'll see that little help sign
mhm.
or that little question mark. So yeah, they've got great quick, and then they have great long webinars if you really want to, like pre-recorded webinars. So if you want to get deeper into Authentisign, if you want to get deeper into transaction desk, they have 45-minute, long sessions for the more advanced sessions if you want to check those out too.
Awesome. Well, Holly, thank you again so very much. We
Of
appreciate all your
course,
time.
no problem, Alan.
Next
I
week we have Shantha Wetterham. She's going to be doing a lead generation workshop for next week. To just kind of throwing that out there for everybody there.
Mhm.
And anybody have any other questions or anything else that we can do?
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Alan, reach out if you need anything else. And
Oh, we're gonna hit you up. Don't yeah, we're not shy. So
I
thank you,
know
Miss
I love
Holly.
my Max One people. All
Ah,
right, guys.
all right.
Y'all take care. Have a great day.
Thanks now. All right, bye guys.